Hello, I'm Mr. RPGT, and this is a submission video for Squids Odyssey. So, if you've never seen this game before, this is a turn-based RPG, so think like Final Fantasy Tactics. The twist is that all of your units are squids, and the way that you move your units around the level is by grabbing them by the tentacles, pulling back, and sort of releasing them, like launching them around the stage. This is also how you attack enemies. You attack enemies by bumping into them. So the tagline is it's Fire Emblem crossed with Angry Birds, which is, I guess, accurate, I suppose. And yeah, we're gonna beat it real fast. So yeah, so I'm just gonna reset the game and get started here. Alright, so we immediately go to level 1. This game has a lot of cutscenes, but you can actually skip all of them, so we just go right into the action. My movement here is actually quite particular. I want to pick up that star, which I did, and now I'm going to kill this guy on the right, and in particular I want to leave myself in a position where one of these two guys on the left is going to attack me, and the other one will just not move. So that's perfect. And now everything's perfectly lined up, so I can just double bounce into this guy, which kills him, and now I'm right next to this guy, so I can double bounce into him, which kills him, and now I'm right next to the exit, so I can just dash over there. And that's the first level. So you see how your movement, like early movement, sets up your subsequent movement, and it's kind of interesting to route out. So this level is an introduction to dashing. So Steve here is a scout, and as such he has a dash attack, so you can just tap the screen when he is moving and he will sort of shoot forward in whatever direction he's facing. So you see I'm passing the turn tactically to just recover my dash, because you get your dashes back at the start of every turn. This enemy I'm just going to knock off the edge. Edges are deadly. Yes, we're underwater, but don't think about that too hard. If you fall off an edge, you die. And if you knock enemies off of edges, they die. And just like that, we're out of there. So I'm going to do a little menu here. I'm going to remove Vaheen from my party because she is useless. And I'm going to level up Steve to level 7, which is actually pretty high for right now. And in particular, this gives him 2 more dashes, which is very, very useful for movement and also for fighting. So I'm just going to quickly dash over to this anchor and pass. And Vaheen here is going to pick up this chest. So I just removed Vaheen from my party, but she's still here, and that's because some levels are just scripted to have certain party members, like this one. So Vaheen's going to disappear in like 3 levels or so. And you can see Steve makes very quick work with these guys now that he's level 7. And we can just go right to the end of the stage. Good stuff so far. So you see what I'm doing a double bounce where I hit an enemy and then immediately dash towards them again. I tried to do it there, but sometimes the game eats your inputs. Which is a very, very effective way to kill enemies who you can't one-shot, which we're going to see a lot of in this stage. So this level is the introduction to classes. So there's 4 classes in this game. There's the Scouts, which we've seen already. There's Clint, who's the red squid. He's a shooter, so he has a ranged attack that he can use once per turn. Samo is the yellow guy. He's a trooper. He has an AoE ground pound attack. And Vaheen, the purple one, is a healer, so she can heal allies by bumping into them. And you can basically forget everything I just said except for the scout part, because we're not gonna really use any of these guys other than Steve. In this level, you see I'm just passing the turn with everyone else. They just don't deal any damage. They're all level 1, so I just pass the turn with all of them. Also, I'm tactically leaving one guy alive, because as soon as I kill him, the next wave is gonna spawn. So I wanna spawn the next wave when it's the start of my turn and I have full stamina, so I can do double bounces on them. So that's why we're doing that. So that goes down. I'm not gonna be able to finish this guy off. So paradoxically, the safest place to be next to those crabs, or when fighting against these crabs, is right next to them, because then they will just ground pound and do nothing else during their turn. Whereas if you're far away from them, they will move, attack you, and then ground pound. So you actually want to be right next to them, which is weird. So anyways, Winnick here is now sacrificing himself so that the rest of our squids can escape. So we just need to survive for 5 turns, and while I do that, I will tell you my favorite facts about Winnick. So Winnick here is an old and wise fatherly mentor figure towards all the other squids. His level is question mark. We don't know what level he is. Mysterious. You can't level him up. You also can't equip anything to him. And he has the abilities of multiple classes and is the only squid in the game who has the abilities of multiple classes. And my favorite part about Winnick is that he's definitely going to live through this entire campaign and nothing bad is possibly going to happen to him. That's the end of that mission. Ah, it's Winnick has left the party. What? So the game wants me to recruit Clint and Samo now and add them to my party, but instead I'm just going to buy some hats for Steve, which seems like a better use of my time. So that's that. So we removed Vaheen from our party, Winnick has left our party, we didn't recruit Clint and Samo, so now our party consists of entirely Steve. This is actually incredibly convenient, as we'll see in this level here. So I can just go around and kill all the enemies. I have 4 dashes a turn, so I can do this very, very effectively. And then I can just pass the turn, and hey, it's my turn again. So if an enemy cannot hit you in 1 turn's worth of movement, they will just not move. And this is really, really convenient, so it just passes right back to my turn. So I'm gonna knock these 2 guys off the edge. Or try to. Did not hit this guy ideally, but okay. And I'm gonna pass the turn again, and hey, there's no enemies near me, so it's my turn again. And as you can sort of see, not having a big party is actually really, really great. The camera doesn't have to pan back and forth between multiple squids. I don't have to pass my turn with them. And I can it's just constantly my turn, because you constantly just manipulate it so that enemies are not close to you when you run out of stamina. And we just double bounce our way to victory. That was actually really clean. I'm very happy with that level. You do have to be careful though, because with only 1 squid in your party, if your squid dies, you lose. And in particular, you can just fall off the cliff and die, which is problematic. Costs a lot of time when that happens, but anyways. Here the game says the objective is defeat all enemies. That's not true. We actually just need to defeat this 1 giant crab and not die in the process. So, fell off the cliff there, we'll have to redo that one. But that's okay. Of note, that crab has 60 health, and I deal exactly 20 damage to him, which is sort of by design. We've equipped Steve enough that he does exactly 20 damage. So you just kill him in 3 hits. And now we can just go to the end of the stage. So I picked up a turtle shell there, that red shell, which made me immune to damage when it wasn't my turn, which is why nobody attacked me there. So there's no RNG to this game at all. Like your damage is always exactly the same, the amount of damage you take. It's just completely dependent on your stats. The only randomness are these glass jars that you see me picking up. They contain random power-ups. And depending on the power-ups you get, they can save or cost you a lot of time. So I'm gonna hit this door here, and that spawns Capono. This is a secret party member, and he is now in our party. And he's gonna be very, very useful. So like Steve, he is a scout, and all of his stats are absolute garbage, except for his dash stat, which he has a lot of. He gets a huge number of dashes, so I'm gonna immediately go and recruit Capono. And in fact, he's actually going to replace Steve in my party. We still only want 1 party member. All these hats that I purchased for Steve, I'm gonna equip to him, and then I'm gonna level him up to level 11. And if you watch his number of dashes, it's just going up very quickly. And we move along. So yeah, his attack, defense, and HP are all awful, but his dash stat and his stamina, which is how far you can move in 1 turn without dashing, is really high, which lets you do stuff like this, where you just casually triple bounce into everything. And now I can just pass the turn and there's no enemies near me, so hey, it's my turn again. So we're doing this again. So I should point out the way these double bounces and triple bounces work, it's you hit the enemy, and then when you're being knocked backwards, you just tap the screen, which makes you dash forward. And if you've lined it up well, you just immediately hit the enemy again. So again, we clear out this area filled with enemies, pass the turn, hey, it's my turn again. So yeah, enemies just don't get turns. Ooh, that was close. I nearly knocked myself off the edge there. Okay, we're good. And this is really just the power of scouts. All the other classes are just really slow moving, and you have to get it. You're gonna get attacked, but with scouts you can just avoid enemy turns. So ideally I didn't want to get sucked into this current and loop all the way around here, but it's not a big deal. Ooh, okay, that wasn't great either, but we'll survive somehow. So the story of this mission is we're saving this blue squid in the center there that you see, but she was actually not close enough to any of the enemies to aggro any of them, so she was actually perfectly safe, but we rescued her, hooray. And we're on the turtle again. This mission's actually pretty tough. So I'm gonna knock off 2 guys with 1 shot there. That's a fun little strat. But yeah, there's a lot of enemies in this level, and it's very easy to knock yourself off the turtle, because there are edges everywhere. Okay. So my movement is like somewhat scripted, but it's never perfect, right? I am playing this on a touchscreen. The controls are not like super precise, and so you sort of have to improvise your way through it. I picked up the secret star there. which refreshes your stamina. I haven't really talked about pearls, but so pearls are how they're the currency of this game. You spend them on items and also to level up. This isn't so great. Okay, I'm just gonna get attacked like 3 times, but it's not a big deal. You see Capono doesn't have a ton of health. Anyways, so you get pearls by beating up enemies. As you see, pearls are dropped when they die. And you also get pearls at the end of every level if you meet certain requirements. So you get one, there's 3 different awards. There's an award if all your squids survive. There's an award if you beat the level within a certain number of turns, which is different for each level. And you get 300 pearls for finding the secret star. Sorry, those are the 3 awards. Each of those awards grant you 300 pearls if you get them. And that's where we're getting the majority of our pearls, because we're actually going to be trying to avoid as many combats as possible whenever we can. Okay, that was close. I mean, that wasn't close at all. What are you talking about? Okay, cocktail's really nice. That gives me a stamina refresh. So I can kill these 2 guys. Maybe I can do this in 1 turn. Oh, I didn't hit him hard enough. So the way damage is calculated, assuming you're going sufficiently fast, you will deal damage equal to your attack minus their defense. And if you're not going sufficiently fast, you'll deal some percentage of that, down to a minimum of 1 damage. So typically, if you're not going fast enough, you just deal 1 damage. And I wasn't going fast enough there. I wasted a few attacks, but not a huge deal. Alright, so I'm just going to show you this level real quick. So I'm going to zoom out and show you. This level's huge. It's filled with enemies. You're supposed to navigate through this whole stage with your entire party, kill all the enemies as you go. But the objective is get to the end of the stage. So I'm just going to pass the turn here to get a stamina refresh because there's no enemies near me. And yeah, there's even enemies that spawn halfway through the level. Yeah, we don't care. We can skip the whole thing. So this is the other power that Scouts have. On top of being very, very effective in combat, they're also very, very good at just flying through levels that don't have combat requirements. This stage, for instance, as well. Reach the pretty girl is the objective. That is not combat, so I'm just going to pass. So I'm just strategically passing whenever I know there's not enemies near me to get my stamina back. This level is actually sort of dependent on random power-ups in order to get to the end. That's not a good one. That's a smoke bomb. That's a shell. Okay, that's pretty good. So that means I can pass the turn safely. Oh, okay. I picked up a stamina refresh, which should carry me. Okay, another one. But yeah, the red turtle shell makes you immune to damage when it's not your turn, so that's really good. That cocktail that you're picking up, that refreshes your stamina and gives you 1 use of your dash back. So picking up those is good. Basically what we don't want to see are smoke bombs. Those are useless. So I'm going to try and ricochet off the wall. You can often... Okay, there we go. Good enough. Into the exit there. Nice little stage. And now we're escaping from the city. So we've come to the capital city to look for squids to help us fight against these these creatures that are covered in black ooze. There's black ooze falling from the sky and it's corrupting all the sea life. That's the story. And so we're trying to find squids to help us fight. So we've come to the capital. The capital's already overrun with these creatures. So now we're trying to escape. And we're trying to take the population of the city with us because they're under siege. Okay, I'm gonna knock that guy off. Just a little careful there. You don't want to knock yourself off. Again, tons of enemies, huge sprawling level. We don't have to do any of it. Oh, do I have enough stamina? Okay, there we go. Very nice. This next level is actually pretty precise. There's a very precise dash that I'm going to try and get. So right there, that's not the easiest in the world. And then, okay, I don't like it. I'm super close to the edge, so I'm going to bail. I could have dashed a second time there and made it all the way to the current in 1 turn, but I didn't want to risk it. But not a big deal. So that was a shuriken. That's a random power-up, and it's usually awful because it wastes a bunch of time. I would much rather just like get my stamina back there. As you saw, I had to fire the shuriken away at the enemies, but not a huge deal. Alright, so we're buying time for the population of the city to escape, so we need to survive for 8 turns. Yep. Sure are a lot of enemies over there. Yep. So 1 enemy does in fact spawn in front of me. I do have to actually take him out, but not a big deal. And then I need to pick up this chest as well, which has a very important helmet for later. And conveniently, this spot is also safe, so we can just pass the turn there. Well, that was easy. Hooray, we did it. We saved everyone. So to celebrate, we're playing a game of King of the Hill on the turtle. That's like literally what's happening here. This is our entire party of squids, none of whom you've seen because we don't use any of them. Now we're gonna knock off Steve. So this level is very, very scripted. I know exactly what I want to do. So I'm gonna try and knock off Vesper here. This is the only tricky part. This angle is not the greatest. Okay, now I'm gonna pass. Vaheen's gonna attack me, and she's gonna line herself up to get knocked off very easily. And then we see what this random power-up is. Okay, that's good. Okay. So now we're just gonna knock off Venus. And that's the stage. Very nice level. Whoops. I did not mean to menu there. I pressed base instead of continue. Not a big deal. So meanwhile, this is a flashback. Winnick here has decided to just take on the entire enemy base by himself. I mean, might as well, right? But again, this level we just need to get to the end of the stage, so we're just gonna do that. Winnick is part scout. He has 3 dashes. He also is part trooper. He has 3 ground pound attacks that he can use per turn. So he's actually like super, super strong, but we don't need to fight anything, so whatever. Easy enough. And this is the exact same level we just did as Winnick, now in the present. And you see there's ooze leaking everywhere. This whole area has become corrupted. So I'm going to take a little bit of a shortcut here. I'm going to smack the sea urchin out of the way and just mosey on past it this way. It's a little bit quicker than going around. And I'm going to hopefully not die. Let's see if I can get this dash through these anchors. Okay, that's a very good angle. Yeah, that's pretty precise to get that precise angle there. Because if you hit any of the anchors, you just like grab it and stop moving. So you want to just go right in between them. A little more precise than it looks. So here I'm going to use my very first consumable item. So I'm going to open up my inventory and use a salmon, which gives me the red stamina bar, which makes me go really, really fast. This is helpful for this level because this level is very treacherous otherwise. If you pass the turn, you basically die. Okay, I'm going to pick up the star, which refreshes my stamina, and go to the end of the stage. But you see this like bridge here where there's no walls. If you pass the turn, you're dead. So I'm going to try and knock one of these shrimp into that crab, knocking him out of the way, so I can just dash past him. Oh, yeah, or I could die instead. That's cool. Angles. Not ideal. So one nice thing, if you use a consumable item and then die or otherwise leave the level, you get the consumable item back, which is really, really nice. It means like I don't have to like do some crazy backup strat for this stage. So that's one very nice feature that this game has. So I suppose I should talk about the category. This category we're doing is called Beat the Game Frugal. And what frugal means is I'm allowed to use consumable items that I find, like in chests and whatnot, but I'm not allowed to buy any of them. And that's because consumable items are super, super, super good, and we don't want to use them. Because, yeah, they would just trivialize every single level. I was supposed to menu, so I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to add Steve back to my party. I'm also going to buy a couple of hats. So the way hats work, you can equip hats... hats stack, basically. If you equip a hat one time to a squid, it will permanently bestow its stat bonus to that squid. And hats are class specific, so I'm purchasing a bunch of scout hats, and I can equip them to both my scouts simultaneously, which is really, really good, because it means all my scouts get a bunch of free stats. So now my party is 2 members. It's Capono and Steve. Capono is also now level 19, which is very, very high. But yeah, we're going to tag team the next couple of stages. So Capono's job is to kill these 5 enemies down here. Which he can do pretty easily. But you do still have to be careful, he doesn't have a lot of HP. And then Steve's job is to not get sucked into this current here. He's going to dash across it and deal with these guys over here. And in particular, you note he deals 24 damage to these enemies. They have exactly 24 health, which is, again, by design. We just leveled up. We just equipped some hats to him for that reason. Okay, so Capono needs to finish off the guys over here. So Capono getting to level 19 has 1 more dash, so I think he has 7 dashes now, which is just like an absurd number. So he can deal a lot of damage and go really, really far. So that's all the enemies, and conveniently the exit is right here, which is where we intentionally put Steve. So that's all very good. And now we move into the first boss. So this is the Guardian. He has 2 eyes. Each of his eyes have 300 health and 10 armor. So we need to fight our way through this. Getting double bounces against him is actually really tricky. His eye hitboxes are super weird. So you see there, I like spun away from him and missed, which is not ideal. We don't want to do that too many times. But okay, one eye down, and that's the end of Capono's turn. So yeah, scouts, they deal a lot of damage. 7 dashes times however much damage he deals. It's a lot of damage. Casually, this fight is quite dangerous. Oh, I missed. Okay, not a big deal. So this attack he's doing has a chance of killing either of our squids. He can knock you off the edge, which is bad. Fortunately, it looks like we're okay here. So that's fine. That may not have looked too scary, but normally this fight takes longer than 1 turn, and the sea urchins, they deal percent HP damage. So it gets pretty scary pretty quickly, but he's not going to get another turn, so it's actually fine. So I'm just playing it safe and doing single bounces. So that's the last eye. Now we just need to deal with his head, which has 60 health, which is not a ton. Hello. Oh, he's out of dashes. Okay. There we go. And that is the end of chapter 1. So we did it. We saved this area from the Black Ooze, and we're going to skip some very plot-relevant cutscenes and then move on to chapter 2, the Wild West, the Wet Wild West. So prepare to get exposed to every Wild West trope in the book as we go to the saloon. This is a very easy stage. We just need to wipe out all these enemies. We one-shot all of them with Capono. Yeah, not much more to say about it. This is sort of like an intro to a tutorial level, because this game, Squids Odyssey, is actually a compilation of 2 different games, Squids and Squids Wild West. So this is actually the first level of the sequel that has been like seamlessly combined with the previous game. So that's why that level was super easy. Okay, the game says defeat all enemies. Not true, we just need to defeat this one guy, and he's susceptible only from behind, so that's why I'm going around him. We're just gonna get some double, triple bounces. So ideally I would just get like 7 bounces in a row and just kill him, but it's tricky to do. Every time you hit him, you start spinning away. Basically how that works is if you don't hit an enemy like perfectly straight on, you start spinning as you fall backwards. So if you hit them perfectly straight, you can just keep dashing into them over and over again, but it's easier said than done. We see this level I have only Steve in my party, and that's because, again, some levels this game likes to force your party members to be certain people, and this level is solo Steve. So I hope you leveled up Steve in your casual playthrough, because otherwise you'd be in some trouble. So we've come here to rescue this squid who's an NPC not under our control. She's actually in aggro range of enemies, so we actually need to do some work, but she can handle herself, as you can see. Because she's a tough gal who takes no sass from no man or something. I don't know. Wild West, right? Wow, that was weird. I got jammed in there. Okay, this is fine. Okay, so now I'm going to do the most complicated menu in the game. I'm going to unlock Clint. I'm also going to unlock Venus, which are 2 very weird characters, you might think. What am I doing? And then I'm going to buy some helmets. In particular, I'm buying some shooter helmets and some healer helmets. And this looks very odd because I'm not using shooters or healers in my party. Right now, at least. Okay, hang on. I should not talk and do this at the same time. Okay, we're getting up to level 4, and now I'm gonna equip some hats to everything. So anyways, why I'm doing this is because we're gonna have a couple of missions in a row where our party is forced, and we don't have any scouts in our party. And so we're gonna have to actually use, other squids. So I'm leveling them up and equipping hats to them just enough so that we can get through some of those levels. There's some of the harder levels in the run, actually. But we'll get there. So I had just enough pearls to do everything I wanted, which is good. Okay, so first we have some combat missions. The menu makes sense to do right then, because we wanted to level up Steve a little bit, because after getting hit by the dynamite, as these enemies are, Steve will perfectly one-shot these guys now, because we leveled them up just like twice just now. Oh, that guy didn't get hit by dynamite or something, I guess. That's awkward. Okay, Capono can clean us up. Steve only has 4 dashes, Capono has 7, and Capono has more attack power too. I'm surprised that guy didn't go down, actually. Okay. So our money route gets a lot less tight now. In particular, like, it was actually very important that I picked up every single secret star that I did, and finished every single level under the certain turn limit for like to make sure that I could level up everyone that we needed. But now it's fine for the rest of the game, basically. So this is another solo Steve level, which doesn't look all that unusual. It's supposed to be a little bit of a novelty where you're going around with Steve and like zooming past all these enemies and whatnot. But I mean, we've been doing that the whole game, so it's actually not that novel for us. Once again, I'm just going to tactically pass the turn whenever there's no enemies around. I just need to hit these levers. Oops. So once again, right here, I'm going to pass the turn. Just whenever there's no enemies in range. So I can just zoom around here. Because there are a few enemies around. And that's the mission. So Steve is barricading all the walls in the town, because we're being overrun by the Black Ooze creatures again. And meanwhile, while Steve is doing that, the rest of our party is defending the town. So here we have the mission with 3 shooters, none of which are particularly high level. So Clint we leveled up to level 4, not actually for this mission. You can do this mission with Clint at level 1, but we need him to be level 4 for a little later. Jane here, who's this pink squid, is actually level 11. We just got her in our party, so she's actually pretty strong. I screwed this up. Talking and playing at the same time. This is fine. It's not a big deal. But... and Vesper here is level 5, so she's not particularly strong. This mission is actually quite treacherous. All of these squids are very, very fragile. They will die in like 1 or 2 hits to pretty much everything, so I'm just gonna snipe. I'm gonna fly in, get some hits, run away. And that's basically what we have to do here. Depending on power-ups, we may get a little bit more aggressive, but as it is right now, this is what we gotta do. So same thing here. I have to play a little bit like a coward. And this is sort of a glimpse into what this game is sort of more supposed to look like casually. It's a lot of hit and run, a lot of actually taking damage from enemies, but you know. So Vesper here, I'm going to send her to pick up a very important item, this item right here, which we're going to use later. But yeah, that'll be much, much later in the run. Okay, I think I'm strong enough to actually just fight this now. Okay, so I picked up the star there, which is good. I think he one-shots this guy? I don't remember. He does, okay, good. So now there's just this giant crab, he's pretty tanky, but... Okay, stamina refresh there is very good. I can hopefully hit him into the dynamite here. And if not, Jane can do it. Yeah, perfect. Dynamite, deal some extra damage. Okay, so we should be fine here. Yeah, Jane's got this. Perfect. That was very good. Very happy with that. That level can get dangerous, but that was very clean. And now the next level is more of the same. This level is called Meat Shield because we have Samo, the super tanky trooper, and the 2 healers. And it's really funny. Samo makes some comments at the start of this level where he's like, "Oh yeah, as long as I have these sexy nurses by my side, I can do anything. Like, protect me, ladies, and I will like save the day." But he's actually level 1 and deals like absolutely no damage and dies in 1 hit to everything. And in fact, the 2 healers are really strong. I purchased a bunch of healer hats and equipped both my healers with a bunch of hats. So the healers are actually going to carry this, and Samo's going to stand by and watch, which is like more sexist, less sexist. I don't know. It's either way. This level's weird. So Vaheen here doesn't deal a lot of damage. She's a little bit tankier, but she's lower level as well. That's not great, but okay. I'm hoping he's going to kill Samo. So I actually want Samo to die there because it just wastes so much time having to like pass his turn over and over again, because this is going to take a bunch of turns. As you can see, we're not particularly strong here. But since they're 2 healers, I can demonstrate what they do is they bump into each other and heal themselves, which works really, really nicely. My attacks keep getting like blocked. So there's actually 4 waves of guys here. However, the power-ups, these glass jars, are guaranteed to be cocktails in this level, so they will always refresh my stamina, which is actually super clutch. I'm going to very much abuse this fact to get some really long turns. I'm not sure why that is. I guess maybe they thought this level was too hard, so they just made everything a cocktail. But it's super, super helpful to just have everything be a stamina refresh. And just to know what it's going to be before you pick it up, because you can actually, like, very much... When you know that they're going to be stamina refreshes, you can write them in. So this crab is the most dangerous enemy, so I'm going after him. The shrimps are not super threatening. And yeah, we're not using Vaheen because she has like no attack power. Venus has all the attack power. So you see, I've leveled them up just enough so that she lives through 2 attacks, which is like by design. Very nice. That was pretty clean. No one died, which happens. That definitely can happen. And finally, we're out of these missions where we're forced to use certain party members, and we can go back to the normal game. So here we need to catch up to this seahorse. Every turn that you pass, he runs further and further away. The trick is to just hit that switch, which opens up a shortcut. But yeah, this is a type of level that exists. Because of course this is the Wild West, and we need horses, or seahorses in this case. So I'm gonna go to the base, next chapter, and we move along. So Jane, who we found in the saloon, claims that it is actually Winnick who brought the ooze to this area, because we were surprised to find that the ooze was already here. So she's taking us to Winnick, where she thinks Winnick is right now. Of course, Winnick is dead, so how could he possibly be behind the black ooze? Ooh, mysterious. But we'll see. We'll see soon enough. So these enemies, they cannot be damaged. They can only be knocked off edges. Fortunately, scouts are really good at doing that too. So we can just knock them all off. The only way to actually damage them is to be riding a seahorse. Seahorses can damage them, so we're going to demonstrate that here. This is the seahorse tutorial level. But seahorses have a different form of movement. They sort of have this timing-based thing that you have to do, which is fine. And then, yeah, they flip over the armadillos, which lets you actually damage them. And the trick to seahorses is knowing that you can dismount them while they are moving. Because if I had... these seahorses in particular, they have two moves that they can do per turn. And if you are riding a seahorse and it runs out of movement, your turn ends. But you can actually dismount them while they are moving, which means you can get in their 2 attacks and then dismount and then do the rest of your regular turn. Which is, like, not at all really well explained, but is super, super helpful. Also, you can just get on multiple seahorses in 1 turn. Use them all. So right there, again, 2 attacks, and then I dismount, and then I take this guy out. Which, yeah, otherwise your turn just ends. Oh, I'm trying to get to the exit. That seahorse blocked me. That's fine. So yeah, that fact is like not very well explained casually, but it makes seahorses a lot more useful than they would otherwise be, for sure. Alright, the objective is reach the camp, but how could we possibly, like, get past all of these enemies? Oh, wait. So right here, I'm just gonna face plant into this sea urchin, take some damage, get to the secret star. You're supposed to blow up the dynamite and knock away the sea urchins up top, but yeah, we can just apply our face instead. That also works fine. And we've reached the end of the level. Easy peasy. So Jane has actually led us to the native camp, which is under attack. Jane is blaming the natives for bringing the black ooze here. The natives are blaming Jane for bringing the black ooze here. It's actually neither of their faults, but anyway, so we're gonna rescue them and hope that we can team up. So I knocked that first enemy into that portal, which is actually intentional, because he's in range of that cannon, so I can just knock him off that way, which is very, very simple. This isn't going super well. I did not hit these guys particularly as hard as I would have liked. So this is another level where the next wave of enemies is going to spawn as soon as I kill the first one. So I fired a cannon there, and there was actually an enemy that spawned down there who just died instantly, which is really nice. So there's only these 2 guys left. I'm going to come over here and grab the secret star, which gives me a stamina refresh. I can kill these guys. I'm doing this very sloppily. Wow. Very, very sloppily. So I'm going to knock this guy. Oh, okay. I thought I was going to knock him into the portal. This is fine. I'll pass the turn here, get a stamina refresh. Finish this guy off. There's just 1 wave left. Whoa, okay, let's not fly off the cliff. Red stamina bar is dangerous at times, for sure. It's very difficult to control. It gives you a lot of power, but difficult to steer, for sure. Okay. So here, the leader of the native tribe, who is Ronimo here, he's also a scout, and he is elected. He will join us if we can catch the black star, that black seahorse. So it's another seahorse chasing level, which again, we really want to do in one turn, because if we pass the turn, the seahorse runs even further away. The trick to this level is to just know where the secret star is, which gives you a stamina refresh. So it's right there. Also, you might think it would be faster to faceplant into those sea urchins and move them out of the way, but those sea urchins are filled with concrete, apparently, and you just like cannot knock them back at all, unlike every other sea urchin in the game. So we have to actually go around there. So there's the black star. And Romo has joined us. So even though he is a scout, and we have a million scout hats, and we could power him up really hard, we're actually not even going to bother adding Ronomo to our party. We really don't need him. We can just get by with just the two scouts that we have. There's no need for a third scout. So again, we're just escaping the plains here. But how could we possibly get past all these enemies? You see, I'm not even getting on the seahorse. Like, the seahorse gives you extra move, and it's just like, isn't even necessary. I didn't mean to hit that guy though. This is actually a little low on stamina here. We should be fine. Although, maybe we're not fine. I don't think I've ever died in this level before, but it might happen here. Oh no, okay. He'll attack me into the exit. Yes, perfect. All planned. Alright, and this mission is sort of a side story. This is Clint and his rival Cleef, because Clint is a former sheriff and this town ain't big enough for the two of them or something like that. Again, Wild West. So I'm just gonna run away, hide in the corner over here, and here comes Cleef. And so he's going to hit at me for 1 damage, and then 23 damage, and I have 1 HP left. If you remember long ago, we leveled up Clint to level 4, and equipped a few hats to him. Now you know why. So that he could live through that attack, and we can just knock him off the edge. Perfect. Okay, time to do some leveling up, so I'm going to upgrade my seahorse. What am I doing? I'm going to buy some scout hats. Few more scout hats that we've collected along the way here. Okay. And then I'm going to level up Capono and Steve. Simultaneous level ups. So I had like pretty much exactly enough pearls there again, which is very nice. So we're going now we're descending into a mine. Which is where the ooze is leaking from. In particular, these red enemies, these red glowing guys, they will, after they move, they will explode. And so rather than knock them off the edge, I can just grab onto some anchors and let them explode. It's a lot easier than knocking them off in a lot of cases. Like that guy on the right there is just like really awkward. He's not in a very nice spot at all. So instead we just pass the turn and let him explode. Not a big deal. Blink. It's much, much simpler. We just need to kill the one guy who doesn't explode himself and then grab onto some anchors. Very, very straightforward stuff. Alright, and that's the level. So arriving in the mine, we find that Brad here is just mining carelessly and causing the black ooze to leak everywhere. So the objective here is to actually catch up to Brad to get to the end of the stage, and in order to do that, you're supposed to defeat all the enemies on the screen. Alternatively, you can just faceplant into sea urchins, and there's just enough room to sneak on past here. And we can just follow him. Hey, Brad. Easy stuff. Anyone see Star Wars Episode 5? Spoiler alert. Oh, it was Winnick the whole time. Winnick has been corrupted by the black ooze. So I'm going to try and get a quick kill here. So I'm going to hit him 3 times, and now I'm going to try and kill him in one attack. Couldn't do it. So now he transforms into phase 2. So I wanted to skip this second phase. In this second phase, he's going to randomly dodge attacks, which is quite annoying. Although he's playing nice right now. Oh, just keep playing nice, Winnick, please. Okay, beauty. But yeah, ideally you want to just do that with one, like, 7 hit shot. But it's a lot easier said than done. I've done it a few times, but anyways. So Winnick is defeated. Of course, Winnick was a load-bearing boss, and the mine is now collapsing. So Winnick escaped. We need to escape. There's enemies in our way. Could you not? Thank you. I didn't want to explode the dynamite, but it's going to explode anyway, so just waste a little bit of time. I'm going to pass the turn right here and get my stamina back. Again, no reason to send in Steve. He doesn't really contribute much here. Capono now has 8 dashes. We've leveled him up to level 26 of 30. So Capono is done leveling up. We're never going to level him up anymore. He's basically at max level. And Steve is at like level 14 or so, I think. So Capono is still a lot stronger. But anyways. Alright, we've escaped the mine. So Steve is very distraught and wants to return to the capital and confront Winnick, which is basically a suicide mission, because it's now the Ooze stronghold. So Clint here is going back to the ranch where he grew up, where he buried a very powerful weapon that he wants to give to give Steve a fighting chance at like actually beating Winnick. So that's what we're going to go do right now. So fortunately there's no enemies in this stage because, of course, Clint is level 4 and has no health and, you know, all that stuff. However, at the end of this stage, we do have to have another fight against Cleef. And Cleef at this point has 120 health, he has 40 armor, we don't even deal 40 damage, so we like all of our attacks just deal 1 damage, period. And he gets like 4 attacks per turn and he one-shots us with all of them. Ow, that was not intentional. So how on earth are we possibly going to beat Cleef? There's no cliff that's very convenient to knock him off the edge with either, so we're going to have to get a little creative. But I won't spoil it. We'll see in a minute. So here he is. I'm just going to open up my inventory and use a Mighty Kraken. So this is an item, it's a consumable item, and it reduces the HP of every enemy in the level to 1. And you're starting to see why consumable items we're not allowed to purchase them, because we would be using that every level, and that is much less exciting. So we have 2 of those. We use one there to save ourselves from having to level up Clint. And the other one, spoiler warning, we're going to save for the final level of the game. Because it works on everything, even bosses. It's like completely ridiculous. And you can just buy them in the store. It's like absolutely absurd. So, anyways. This stage, we need to get all the way up to the tomb where Clint is. In order to do that, you need to defeat very specific enemies. So I killed that one guy, which opened up this pathway here. Now Steve needs to kill just this one crab in the center, or this shrimp in the center here that I just hit. Because he is the like load-bearing enemy of this area. Okay, so that opens up this path and this path, and I completely ignore all the other enemies. Again, casually, you just sort of have to kill everything. I'm purposely killing Steve here because he is surrounded by enemies and there's no good way to get him out of it. And so rather than having him get attacked like 6 times, we're just killing him off. Again, I just need to kill this one enemy, which opens up the next path. I can completely ignore all the rest of them. So I need to be a little bit careful here because there's actually a real chance of death. So what I'm actually going to do is use basically a Phoenix down and revive Steve. Because it's actually very possible that Capono dies here. Basically, when I kill this next enemy, this dynamite will explode. And if I'm too close to it, Capono is probably going to die. Which is pretty common. Okay, I'm out of range here, so we're fine. But yeah, we just safety revive Steve there so that he's just next to the exit if it comes to that. But anyways, we have a couple of like Phoenix downs that we can use. We have, I think, like 3 total. So we just use one there, which is fine. Alright, so alas, we've come all the way up here to dig up this chest, which contains the Cursed Shell. The Cursed Shell is a helmet. It's a scout helmet. And it gives 6 attack, 6 defense, I think 5 HP, and it gives an extra dash to whoever you equip it to. So it is a stupidly, stupidly good helmet. Yet another reason why scouts are really, really busted. Well, as if they needed help, but yeah. It gives a lot of power. Alright, time to go confront Winnick. So the next chapter is Once Upon a Time in the Sea. I'm just going to quit the game real quick and launch it again. Don't mind me. I'm just, you know, giving the game an old restart. So our next chapter is Little Big Squid. Yeah, I can't really explain how that works, but if you just quit the game and launch it again, you can just skip that chapter. So we just do that. I'm going to equip the Cursed Shell to these guys, and then I'm going to just level up Steve. We're going to get Steve to level 25, so I'm just going to level him up as much as I can right now. So yeah, that chapter is just skipped completely. We skipped the final confrontation against Darkwinnick, which is sort of like really the conclusion of the story. This is sort of like post-game now, almost. But yeah, that's how that works. And of note, one really nice thing about skipping that chapter is that in that chapter, Steve dies and is removed from your party forever. But by skipping that chapter, Steve stays in our party, and this is actually really, really convenient because his stats are really good. And so it saves us from having to level up somebody else. But the story starts making no sense, because right now what we're doing is we're sneaking back into the capital to look for Steve, even though he is in our party. Anyways, this mission is interesting. I'm going to try and kill this guy in a very particular way. I'm not going to move Steve anywhere else. Basically, if you go near that chest, if I were to move Steve a little bit more to the left there, a wave of enemies would spawn. But the objective here is just to defeat all enemies, and if you never spawn that wave, then you just don't have to defeat them. So, like my whole movement around that level was just very deliberately set up so to avoid going in that area, that spawn trigger of where those enemies spawn. Yet another run-through level here. This one's actually really treacherous. All of these cliffs are way less forgiving than they appear. I'm angling all my movement very far away from the cliffs because it is super easy to just fall off the cliff, even if it looks like you're not falling off the cliff at all. That's sort of this game has like these very beautiful painted backgrounds, but they're not very accurate. Okay. I didn't like that. Yeah, I'm just taking this a little slow. Knock this guy off. Yeah, there's a lot of cliffs around here. You don't want to knock yourself off. Alright, so arriving back in the capital, we find that Steve is nowhere to be found, and we instead find Magnus here, who's a trooper we're about to recruit. So we have this solo Magnus level. This level is actually pretty tough. Magnus does not deal very much damage, and the enemies here deal a decent amount, so I have to be very, very careful. I may actually end up using some consumables here. Ideally I don't, but I may have to, depending on how things go. But yeah, Magnus takes like 3 or 4 hits to kill any enemy, and they kill Magnus in like a couple of hits themselves. So it's kind of dangerous. I'm actually going to pick up this chest just for safety. That contains a shuriken, which I can use. Maybe. I might not have to. Okay, so I'm going to grab the seahorse. I'm going to pass again. I'm under no turn pressure here, so I can just take this as slowly as I can. But I want to be very careful. Okay, can I get everyone in range here again? Good. Okay. I lost my seahorse though. Okay, that's fine. So I'm gonna pass here. Okay, whatever. I want to get like a red stamina bar. Let's see if I can find something good here. Okay, there's a sushi. Give me a little bit extra movement here. 'Cause this area is kind of dangerous. Okay, I'm actually going to use a sushi, a consumable item to give myself more stamina. Get over here. Okay, I picked up a turtle shell. That's really good. So that means I'm immune to damage when I pass the turn. Yeah, like I'm just playing this super safely. It is very easy to die here. You don't want to mess around with these guys. Okay, so I pass. I got a turtle shell, so I just got another turn. Pick up another turtle shell. That's good. So this will work. So this guy's a little bit tricky. He's right next to this dynamite, and if you get hit by the dynamite, you're in some trouble. So I'm trying to position myself so I'm out of range. Okay, that should work. It's very easy to actually accidentally kill yourself on the dynamite there. Okay, so I'm just going to pass the turn one last time right here, which is just out of range of this guy. Now I'm going to try and kill him. Okay. Very good. I hope I made that look easy, because it is certainly not very Oh, but I don't have a sushi for this now. I only had one. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm sort of... The power-up route is a bit in flux. Sometimes you have to use them for safety or whatever. But ideally you want one in this stage, but I don't have one, which is kind of unfortunate. Anyways, I just need to knock off this one enemy. He's the key enemy in this area, so I just kill him, which opens up this path. And so I really want to do this stage in one turn, because you see all 4 of my squids are locked in different rooms filled with enemies. So if I pass the turn, I have to wait for them all to die, which it takes forever. I'm going to try and knock this crab into the switch. Please just hit the switch. Okay, thank you. I killed the crab in the process. So there's the exit, and I want to get there in one turn, and I don't think I have the stamina to do it. Maybe I do. I might just barely have enough. Okay, I'm gonna hit that wall. Okay, we did it. Awesome. That's pretty tricky to do. Ideally, you just have a red, you have a sushi there, and it's a lot easier. But I needed it for Magnus, so. Alright. This stage has my favorite music in the game. This game has a very nice soundtrack in general. But, yeah, this is my favorite track. I'm gonna pick up these 2 chests here. These have 2 backup salmon that I can use. Because I'm a little... Yeah, I have less salmon than I ought to have at this stage. But anyways, this level fortunately has no enemies because we're using, again, 2 squids in our party who are, level 4. So that's good. The only optimizing I'm doing here is I'm trying to keep my squids very close to each other when I pass the turn so that the camera has to pan less far. Which I've done the last couple times that I've passed. Like this one is obviously they're very far away, but otherwise I've kept them really close to each other. So in particular here, I'm going to pass the turn 1 more time, and I'm going to pass right when they're right next to each other right here. So the camera just doesn't have to pan at all. Pick up the treasure map, and we're out. That's not what I meant to do. Okay, final chapter. We're just going to level up Steve to level 25. Where he gets... Oh, really? I'm short? Or he is level 25. Okay, never mind. I'm an idiot. Cool. It's not a big deal if I was short anyways, but yeah, we got there. So this is the final chapter of the game. It's the final area. There's a couple of new enemies in this area, and they're really, really strong. So in particular, wow, if I could hit the switch. So there are the shrimp, and then there's everything else, like the crabs and the hermit crabs. So these shrimp, they have 150 attack, which is an absurd attack. They one-shot Steve and Capono easily. Meanwhile, these hermit crabs and the other crabs, they have 65 armor, so you may have noticed I dealt 1 damage there with Capono. Capono doesn't have 65 attack. And to reiterate, Capono is literally max level. Like, he doesn't get stronger than this. And he just cannot damage these guys. And this is partially because he's a scout. Scouts have a really crappy attack. And Capono in particular has like the worst attack in the game. And so this is the drawback that Capono has, is that he's, not actually... I did not mean to get sucked in here. This is not good. Okay, I need to get out of here if I can. Here is fine. Okay, that's good. But yeah, so Capono has a bajillion dashes, but in the very, very late game, he starts falling off where he actually just can't damage enemies. Steve has a decent amount of attack. He has like 80-something. So he can actually kill the large crabs. And that's sort of part of the reason why we've leveled up Steve at all. Like, Capono could solo pretty much this whole game, except this final chapter is very difficult for him. But anyways, that's the first level. Okay, I didn't mean to kill that guy, but sure. There's just a few more levels to go. So this level, the objective is defeat all enemies. Enemies are going to spawn every turn for 3 turns. Also, there's an NPC here who's going to help us out. So rather than go around and defeat everything, I'm just going to clear out all the enemies that are next to me right now so that I don't die. And then I'm just going to pass, and then I'm going to wait for all the enemies to spawn, and then I'm going to clear them all out at once. So that's why I'm just passing the turn here. And I'm letting Octoku do some work. That's the name of that guy. because he attacks faster than I do, because he's a computer. Okay, so now all the enemies have spawned, so we're just going to go around and mop them up. But there are a lot of crabs in this level, and as we've explained, Capono actually can't damage them, so Capono's going to do some initial work here, and then Steve's going to have to carry. Okay, that stamina refresh is really clutch. However, these cannons, they deal percent HP damage, and it doesn't matter how much armor you have, so I'm just going to hit this cannon a few times and deal some damage to these guys. Because Steve is going to have to work his way through all of these guys, so... Do I get a fourth shot here? I might. I'm going to try one more. Normally you can only hit these guys 3 times, but I sort of bumped into them accidentally, which has lined him up. Maybe I can even get a fourth shot. Nah, it sailed past him. Okay. So now it's up to Steve. But yeah. So again, you could do this level with just Capono if you wanted to knock all these guys off the edge, but that's like a lot easier said than done. So I'm going to use one of my salmons here for some additional movement. Okay, and that's it. So now we just need Octoku to finish the last guy, and we're good. Alright. So again, Octoku is a scout. We could add him to our party. He's level 28 already, but it's just not worth like equipping all the hats to him and all that stuff. We have all the power we need. Okay. Yet another defeat all enemies level. Lots of crabs, lots of big shrimp, or vice versa. Small shrimp and big crabs. Okay, so again, these crabs, Capono can't kill them, but I am going to just try and knock them off the edge. I actually don't want to bring Steve over here if I can avoid it. This guy's very poorly placed, though. He's right up against the wall, which is really annoying. Okay, that's better. So I'm going to use another salmon here, which gives me a lot of knockback power, so I can hopefully knock him off the edge. Let's just get around him. Okay, there we go. I'm going to just pass the turn here and get stamina back. So Steve, ideally we don't want to bring him in here because the exit of this level is going to be right up here where Steve is standing. So ideally we just, Capono, we do actually just want to do this with just Capono. Which should be doable. So yeah, these shrimp, they have 20 health and 20 armor, which is really, really low. But again, they deal 150 damage whenever they hit you, so... They also don't move very well. They have 25 stamina, so they have one move that they can do a turn. I'm gonna dash away. I don't have a stamina for this. I'm gonna just pass. Again, as soon as I killed this guy, the next wave was gonna spawn, and there's gonna be 2 enemies like right next to me, and I had no stamina left, so best to avoid it. Alright. So there's just 1 enemy left. This guy has actually 90 armor, so not even Steve can damage this guy. We just have to knock him off, or we would have had to use some other class. But I'm just going to try and knock him off. Again, we use another salmon to give ourselves a lot of knockback power. You see I'm just churning through my consumable items now because, I mean, we don't need them anymore. This is the final world, so. Okay, good stage. And now, the very final stage, Spirited Away. This is just a massive level filled with enemies. There's no boss, just massive level filled with enemies. And of course, as I alluded to much earlier, we have a Mighty Kraken, which reduces the HP of every enemy in the level to 1. So we use that here, and now we can just go around. It also flips over these guys that are normally immune to damage. So we can just damage them. And now we're just going to go and do one big lap around, slowly bumping into everything. So even the guys that have tons of armor, you do minimum 1 damage when you attack, so it works out. I was aiming for the switch. It is actually pretty easy to knock yourself off a cliff in this level. This level is very long. So I'm going to try and not do that. We're going to use Steve for a little bit of it too. This part is actually pretty precise with Steve. He does not have enough stamina to like do this very cleanly, so I need to be very precise with my movements. Just, oh no, why didn't you die? In particular, this, yeah, I'm just gonna back off. That dynamite there, you don't want to hit it. you get Steve killed if you hit that dynamite generally. So I'm gonna wait till he has stamina. Yeah, very anticlimactic final level where we're just gonna do this. Okay. Okay. Oh, I actually wanted Capono to die there. I was trying to knock him off the cliff so that I could revive him with Steve over here. That same trick that I did a little while ago. But unfortunately, I didn't get him off the edge. It's not a big deal. I can do it anyways. So yeah, I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna throw Capono off the cliff, and then with Steve, I'm gonna use a Phoenix down to revive him to get Capono over here, because Steve has much less stamina than Capono does, so I'd rather use Capono for this last area. Just in the home stretch now. I have some shuriken too, don't I? So I'm gonna use a shuriken here to just pick off these two guys real quick. Just gives you a ranged attack. And now I just need to position myself here so that this guy will attack me and hit me into the switch, and then he's gonna explode. That switch is gonna finish off everyone else. And that's the end of the stage, and that is time. So yeah, that's the end of the game. Before I play the final cutscene here, I'm actually just gonna reorder my party. Because yeah, the story is we've come all this way to commune with the dead because we want to talk to Steve. So Octoku here is looking into his crystal ball to hopefully reach Steve, and instead we get this cryptic answer. And so, of course, he's alluding to the fact that Steve is alive, but of course Steve is literally standing right there. Like, yes, he's alive, guys. He didn't die. Steve is alive? I mean, yes. Yes, he is. Good job, guys. We did it. And so, yeah, that's it. That is the end of Squids Odyssey. So, hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.